Hello, and welcome to the Noobie Dentist Podcast, the safe place for newbie dentists to connect, collaborate, learn, and grow. The Noobie Dentist Podcast aims to provide high-quality and high-value content for all the newbie dentists out there. With your host, Dr. Omid Azami.
Hello and welcome back for another episode of the Noobie Dentist Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Omid Azami, and I am super excited to be here with Dr. Peter McQuillan out of Dubai. How are you doing today?
Very, very well, thank you. The temperature is good outside, and I've had a nice day in the sun.
Yeah, that's great. We're just starting off our day here in Toronto. It's going to be another cold one. So Peter, if you don't mind, if you want to just jump in, I know you've had a pretty interesting past just going through your Instagram page. Seems like you're a bit of an athlete back in the day, and now you're sort of crossed into dentistry, and now you're doing some good things within dentistry. So if you want to just give me a bit of your background, and then we'll sort of jump off from there.
Okay. So I'm originally from Ireland, the north of Ireland, and I grew up in a very small town. The primary school I went to, there was just 8 children in our class, as an example.
Wow.
And whenever I got to 18, I had the offer to go to Glasgow in Scotland, which is on the mainland of the UK, to study dentistry. I actually didn't get in the first time round. I was playing far too much rugby.
Yeah.
Doing too much boxing. And I just missed out on the grades, just by a few marks per subject. It was really frustrating.
Yeah.
So I had 2 options. 3 options actually. One, give up, which is just not going to happen. Option number 2 was to do another degree and then apply for dentistry after I completed. And I didn't want to kill time. In the UK, we can go straight into dentistry. You don't need to complete an undergraduate.
Yeah.
And the third option was to repeat my final year at high school, get the grades I needed, and then hopefully get in. And so I went back to school the second year round. And I actually enjoyed that second time round a lot more than I did the first time round. Yeah. I made a lot more friends, and a lot more friends I'm actually in touch with even till today.
Oh, nice.
More so than the first time around. So yeah, fantastic experience, and everything happens for a reason in this life, right?
Yeah,
so
that's right.
Perhaps that's it.
That's pretty cool.
So I got myself to Glasgow and began my undergraduate in dentistry.
That's great. So and then the dentistry degree itself, is it 5 years over there, or?
Yeah. So in the UK, you have postgraduate ones, which are 4 years. There's 2 dental schools doing that, I believe.
Yeah.
And then the rest of them are 5 years.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So far, I mean, I'm about 7 episodes into my podcast, and I actually interviewed a dentist from Scotland as well, who's he's second year out right now. So he's in Edinburgh right now, and Callum McAllister. So he did same as you. He didn't get in first time around, I think, and he did some school and went back and got in the following year. And so he was just telling me that they have like the sort of mandatory like internship sort of work year, like training afterwards. So he's finished that, and now he's just working as an associate over there. Okay, so pretty cool. So you finish up. When did you graduate in Glasgow?
So not long ago, 2013.
2013. So you've done a lot in this short amount of time. So tell me, like, I'm curious because I think one of my issues was when I was back in dental school, and I just graduated myself. So in Australia, the school years are a little bit different. So I graduated in December of 2016. So I've been like just about a year ago now. And while I was in dental school, like I didn't really have like a vision of like what type of practice or what type of dentistry I really wanted to be doing. I was more so focused on like the business side of things and learning about that, like, management and like overhead and marketing and like all this stuff. And now that I'm graduated and I'm working as an associate, like, I mean, that stuff is practical to an extent, but it's not really what's going to make you like be successful as an associate. So I lack that vision. So I'm curious, and that's why I'm sort of starting this podcast, is to talk to people who are, being successful at executing their vision. So I'm curious, like when you're in dental school, like, or even before, like, did you know, like, this is the stream that you wanted to go down? You wanted to do in like high end sort of cosmetic dentistry, or is something that kind of like you stumbled into after you graduated?
I think everybody has an idea before and during dental school of what they want to become or what they envisage themselves becoming. And for me, I thought I'd go back to my quiet little town, and just dish out amalgams all day long. I thought that.
Yeah.
Shortly after I graduated, I realized that I didn't want to focus on the English healthcare system, the health service treatments, and I wanted to focus in the private sector.
Yeah.
Because it gave me a much larger menu of treatments I could perform for patients. What excited me was transforming people's lives. So if I could find someone that's had a bit of a hard time, not confident in themselves, if I could do just one thing to them to give them that confidence to go out and change their life, then that's what I wanted to do. I had my first taste of that whilst I did my final year of dental school. We have a program in Glasgow called Outreach, and in the Outreach you go out and you treat patients as if it were real life. And I had a patient come into me who was living on social benefits. He hadn't had a job for quite some time, and just, the guy wasn't in great shape. And I asked him, look, why do you not have a job? Why are you bumming out all the time? It's because I don't have confidence to go to an interview. He says, if I had good teeth, if I could smile, if I could talk to someone, then no way, I'll be straight there. I'll be down the job centre next week. And, so anyway, it was pretty basic stuff, a couple of composites, a spoon denture, and we got him on his way. And he contacted me a few weeks later. He had his first job. He was working in a bar. And, small things that we can do that we wouldn't blink an eye to as a dentist make change to people in their daily life. So when I had a taste for that, awesome. I wanted to continue with it.
That's pretty cool. So then you graduated from dental school. Did you stick around to do like that one internship year in Scotland, or did you go back to Ireland, or what happened afterwards?
I spent effectively my adult life in Glasgow from 18, 19 all the way through till 24, 25. And the system was well suited for you to leave Glasgow Dental Hospital or any Scottish university and go straight into a Scottish job. It made sense. You had the option to go to Ireland or to England or anywhere in the world really, but it just was at the time the safe option to do and the clever option for me. It gave me a chance then to focus in and hone my skills. The UK is definitely a leader for aesthetics within dentistry. Minimally invasive dentistry, I'll add on to that. And so it made sense to be there, where I could travel down to London or to the Midlands, Manchester, Liverpool areas, and go to a lot of courses where I could advance myself. So that's what I spent my first year doing. Every paycheck I had, I invested back into myself. I think I stayed in my overdraft for the whole year, actually. I was eating.
That's smart though. I mean, if you had the vision to and you did it. So what type of courses were you doing? Because like I mentioned too, like this is something that I'm recently starting to get into. I've realized I don't really enjoy doing like the patch up sort of dentistry and just doing like fillings and stuff. And I want to transition into larger cases and more aesthetic type stuff. So I recently went and bought a camera. I got like my first like macro lens and some ring flash and to try and take some photos and like incorporate that into my practice. But so I'm curious, like what courses did you find like the biggest like ROI on? Was it like veneers, or was it more comprehensive like occlusion or photography? Or like what would you recommend to start out with?
An average day in practice for me starts off with maybe some orthodontics. I'll move on to some maybe veneer cases, CAD/CAM dentistry, and then do a lot of facial aesthetics. So I don't have like one set thing I'll do per day. I'll be treating, multiple disciplines throughout the day as well as general. Yeah. So I think just going out and tackling them one by one, no one wants to be a cowboy at anything. Find something that you're good at within each subject and stay within that. So I began on occlusion courses, orthodontic courses, fixed and removable. There's loads of systems out there to use, they're all fairly similar. I then did an advanced restorative course, which was a year long. I'm then finishing up a year-long implant course as well. So these things, you just tackle it one by one. The easiest things to get started in is your occlusion, your ortho, and your restorative, and then move on to your perio and your implants afterwards. Things that you should invest in. You've done the right thing. You've made the right steps. Buying yourself an SLR camera, getting a good macro, a good flash setup as well. So going for either a ring flash or twin flash if you want the really nice photographs. Another thing I invested into was training in facial aesthetics, which I don't think doctors in America or Toronto can do. dentist. Sorry, you need to be
Is this for like Botox and stuff? You mean, or
board certified, right?
I think it's starting to come in. I know in Australia dentists do it. So I have a few people that we had like come teach us, and I know they're doing it in their offices and doing some high end stuff. I've been hearing in Canada it's becoming slowly more accepted, I think. I'm not too sure about the US though, but I think it's a cool area. Like I think if you're going to be in the whole aesthetic space, like it's a nice add-on to have, right? It's a good supplement to have to add on to your like skill set and to offer that to patients.
So we say we're treating the smile and also the face. You know, it's quite often I'll do some simple orthodontics, straighten someone's teeth, some whitening, edge bonding, and then we'll finish off by doing, if it's a girl, some lips. We can also drop a gummy smile, treat TMD. It's huge what you can do with it. So I would definitely invest into one of those courses as well and build a portfolio of cases then you can use to try and get yourself a job within an aesthetic practice.
Yeah, that's good. So after how many years did you like make your way over to Dubai, and how's that been? Has that been like pretty rewarding compared to like being in like London, for example? Or
so I moved to Dubai only a short time ago. I've been here about 6 weeks.
Oh wow, okay.
It's completely different to the United Kingdom. It's a lot more insurance based, and what we find is there's been a lot of sort of old school dentistry where it's been lots of traditional heavy preps on teeth. I say not a lot of consideration given to being minimally invasive. But I think things are definitely changing here. I work in a practice full of specialists. So we work together as a team, and, I'm learning an awful lot off these guys. So it's been so far a really good experience. And I think whenever it's my time to leave, I'll leave with a lot more skills.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So they offer up some good mentorship over there for you, or?
Absolutely. We sit down, grab a cup of coffee, walk through the cases together. I refer off, I can observe. Patients come back, and then I do the fancy bit at the end. So
that's good. That's interesting. So because I had another guest on the podcast, Dr. Omar Rakeen. He's pretty big on Instagram as well. He's a sort of a restorative dentist, and he's working in Dubai. So we were talking about a little bit about like, the saturation issue. And he was telling me, from his perspective, it's sort of like tiers of like practices over there. So it's like the ultra high end, like the APAs and then there's like the sort of the middle ground where people are doing like high end work, and it's getting better. Like it's, the level of the work is improving over the past like 5 years from what he's seen, sort of thing. And then there's still like those, lower end practices where just volume, right? They kind of just pump out work and go from there. So what's your opinion on that? Like, how's that been looking out for you? And what are you seeing from the saturation?
I'd completely agree. And I think a lot of people, they know what they're getting themselves into. Let's just say that. They know if they're, what's that old expression? If you buy cheap, you buy twice. So
yeah, it's a good one.
And, I think I'm very fortunate to be in one of the nicer places. But people know. I think there's a lot of people that are scared to get treatment. I've had a lot of patients come from London to visit me here. They trust me. Previously, they were flying to the UK for treatment. So that gives you a really sort of crisp example of the lack of trust within the profession here. But with time, I think that's going to change, especially with social media. When people see what their dentist, their practitioner, their GP is able to perform, then there's that inherent trust already, which I suppose people have about UK dentistry.
Yeah. And what was the process like of getting your license in Dubai? Is it hard to do, like coming from the UK?
It's not difficult to do. There's just a lot to it. You have to submit lots of, they've got lots of requests. They want to be in touch with your university. They want to have your usual job references. But the hardest part about it is you have to sit an exam, the Dubai Health Authority examination. Oh my days. These are questions back to how amalgam sets. Just went in one ear and one out the other. So setting times for different materials, things that you wouldn't really use in day-to-day practice or need to know ever, they're wanting to know. So it required a lot of studying.
How long did you study for that before you wrote it? Yeah. I mean, we had, so in as of like 2010, there's like mutual reciprocal agreements between like Canada, Ireland, Australia, and New Zealand. So like grads from those countries can like go to one of the other countries and work without a major issue. You just have to write the local board exam.
Sure.
So I had to write the Canadian board exam, and it was exactly like you said. It's just like, what's the setting time on like this impression material? Like, what's like the catalyst in this? Like, what's like the density of like this dental stone? I'm like, what is this? Like no one knows this stuff. Like, absolutely useless. So pretty cool, man. So tell me, I'm pretty big into this whole Instagram thing right now, and I'm starting to, build a little community on Instagram of dentists, and just for the podcast sake, just to meet people like I met you, reach out to people, and share ideas and grow that little community. So what's been the role of Instagram for you? Has it been a bit of a marketing play where, like you mentioned earlier, like patients like to see, their dentist work, and it builds that trust and they come to you? Or like, talk to me a little bit about that and how useful it's been for you.
Instagram's been invaluable, particularly in Dubai. I have a lot of patients coming to me through it. They see what I do and they like it. And so, I spoke about that trust that they have before you've even met that person. So we have a lot of that. Yeah. You've got people that just have some questions and just want to know a bit more about dental health. And, what's 5 seconds out of my life to write a response to that? Just a quick hello. What you should be doing. If you're stuck, look, give me a call or come down and see me. It's nice as well because it makes you focus on your clinical dentistry more. You want to make sure you've got the right before and after photographs, and not only from a professional perspective to share with colleagues, but also, I guess, a marketing perspective that you can then share with patients. And so you can explain for 20 minutes something about a tooth, and the patient can sit there and nod their head and not have a clue. If you show them a photograph, they'll get it instantly. So a photograph speaks 1,000 words, and it's so true, especially for dentistry. It makes you focus on improve your photography skills, and then just building up nice cases then to show off. And you never know when you'll meet anybody. You could be out at the bar, you could be playing golf, you could be sitting on a plane and say, hey, what do you do? And you say, well, this is what I do. And you take your phone out and you just pass it to them. And
that's pretty sick.
Saves a lot of small talk.
Does that work pretty well for you at the bars, or?
Yeah.
That's pretty good. So, yeah. That's good stuff, man. So what's next? Like, in terms of your vision, obviously you're executing pretty well right now, and you're where you want to be, and you just made the big move to Dubai and doing some high end stuff. You're an associate right now, right? Or is it sort of you're in a partnership in your own practice, or what's the setup?
Yeah, so I'm an associate within this practice, and I'm one of 8 dentists that work there. I'm one of 3 general dentists, so me and 2 others. The rest, then they're all specialists, which is great. Where do I see myself? I have a training academy. It's called Facial Aesthetic Courses. Okay. So what we do is we teach doctors, dentists, and registered nurses within the UK how to perform these facial treatments. So anything from facial sculpting to your simple Botox, filler, fat dissolving techniques. And so we want to set the bar high and make sure that people are providing high-end treatments for their patients, not only just for themselves from professional indemnity, but also from an ethical and patient safety standpoint. We don't want people to look fake, look unreal.
We see a lot of those blown out lips here in Toronto.
We see some crazy things, and it's simple things from counselling to the right patient to the right treatment. There's several different ways to do lips, for example, to fill them. Sometimes not even filling the lips is the right treatment to give them bigger lips. Things to close black triangles between teeth. TMD, as I mentioned earlier. So we teach people how to do this and how to do it safely so that they feel confident to do it in their own practice. We've developed quite a good curriculum. People, when they sign up to the course, they complete their online learning, which is some papers to read through, some quizzes to go through, and then we have lots of videos to demonstrate the techniques to you. And then once you've completed that, we allow you to attend the hands-on course, which is for foundation delegates, 2 full days, focusing on each specialty. And then, it means that you walk away, you're insured, all these things, and you can provide these treatments and build a really good list and a good reputation.
That's awesome. And what's this course called? I'll put it in the show notes afterwards if you want to have a
facialaestheticcourses.com. And within that link, you'll be onto our website where we have all of the offerings. For anybody that's just getting into it or that has maybe done a course years ago but hasn't really developed new techniques, then the foundation course is usually the best one to start on. Foundation weekend.
Yeah.
So 1 day spent on Botox, and that's upper, lower face, and full body. And then the foundation dermal filler day, which is usually on the Sunday. Rather than teach people how to do nose to mouth lines or marionettes, which is an okay treatment, but you get average results, we teach you how to do treatments, so cheek augmentation and pull the face back. And we really look at the face from a plastic surgeon's point of view. Think about the aging process, and as we know, the bone recedes back. You get changes within fatty compartments, and so we try to augment and reposition the face according to bony resorption. So it's pretty.
That's awesome.
It's pretty full on.
And how many times a year do you run this course, the hands-on component?
We run it 24 times a year. So we run one in London, one in Glasgow, once a month. So
that's amazing. I'll have to come out to that.
Very, very welcome.
And so how did you, because it's so cool, because something that I've been sort of grappling with and sort of starting to lay some foundation on is I want to start doing some CE, online CE courses as well. Not so much that like I will be the one teaching, but one of the reasons I've actually started this podcast, and it's such a powerful like networking tool, right? Just like me building this relationship with you, talking to you. Down the line, if I want to do something, we can perhaps collaborate. So I want to create like sort of like a little hub for like new grads, like an online platform where they sort of just come in. It's like a centralized like library of like online courses for like every discipline, and it's all like under one roof type thing. So they don't have to, because I find a lot of new grads, like myself included, like we come out and there's just so much like online like CE courses. There's there's like, for the online stuff, there's like Dental XP for like implants. There's like the Academy of General Dentistry. So there's so many places that people can go, and people get lost a little bit. They're not sure, like myself included, like where to focus my attention, what's worth it, what's not worth it. So how did you get the idea of like starting a course, and like how did you like execute that from the idea to like actually laying it out, building the online side of things, and then running the actual hands-on component?
It came about through, I had some training for it shortly after graduating, and I mentioned how we do our Botox courses over a weekend. I had the very same course crammed into just one day, and it lacked substance. It required more information on anatomy, safety, contraindications for certain patients, and then how to treat complications. Complications is one of the biggest things within facial aesthetics, for example, which you need inside and out to manage your patient. An example would be if you inject a filler into the nasolabial fold, which is most foundation students are taught this, why we try to avoid treating this area in our courses, is because you have a facial artery which runs just behind the ligament, sometimes within it. If you inject dermal filler into that and it embolizes, it can anastomose with the circle of Willis within the brain. Travel down the optic artery can travel down through, and it can actually cut off the blood supply to the eye and lead to blindness. That's one of the things that we weren't taught, and that's quite a big thing to miss out on. So I sat down with my business partner, and we've been friends since first year of dental school, and we said, look, we think we could do a better job. And it wasn't about the money, it was about just providing a good system for people to follow, a safe system for people to follow. The online library, anybody can come back at any time and revisit those videos, and we update those videos on a regular occurrence, and so it means that they can keep up to date with things. And at the end of the day, if they're ever stuck, which I find difficulty with, is they can pick up the phone and call me anytime if they're ever having issues. So we've got a fantastic support network. We have about 7 lecturers that work for us now. We're all there at hand to help out. So that's primarily what drove it forward.
That's pretty cool. So and how many years ago did that start?
It's coming on 3 years now. So
okay. So you've accomplished a lot in a short amount of time. So it's good.
Bits and pieces.
And okay. So, and so another, like, what I'm interested in as well, especially when talking to people, who've, been doing great things and, just standing out amongst like the average, that what average dentist would be doing is, I just want to like get into the psyche a little bit, like the motivation behind it, like your mentality, and a bit of like, I don't know if you listen to like other podcasts, like Tim Ferriss podcast or, Gary Vaynerchuk and those guys. I'm just like, I'm curious, like when I talk to people who are, successful at what they're doing is, like, what's your like mentality? Like, what do you, like, what's your, like, do you have like a morning routine that you do? Is there certain books that have been like influential to you? Like the role of like exercise or whatever, like what kind of stuff are you doing on the side to like supplement and, help you like, reach your goals outside of dentistry?
The most important thing is having positive people around you. Ultimately we're products of our friends or family, and if anybody negative around you, then you have to axe them. I don't mix my words when I say that, because they can impact on you, your lifestyle, your home life. So if you have people that are negative around you, just keep them at arm's length. That's one big thing. The next thing for me is that you've got to work hard and stay humble. So no matter how successful you become, I'll never flaunt it in anybody's face. I don't think I'm that successful. I think I've still got a long way to go to where I think I want to be. Things that I find that I need to keep me sane. Spend time with my friends. Getting away from dentists sometimes is a good thing. It's not being surrounded by dentists all the time. And hitting the gym quite a lot. So physical activity is so important. It keeps the body good. We're let over all the time. Keeping our muscles in good shape, keeping the body working, so important. I know a lot of dentists that they look to be in okay shape. They're pretty skinny, but they've all had heart attacks. So
the skinny fat, and
at the end of the day, we're just dentists. We're not anything apart from that. We're no different to anybody else that goes out and does their 9 to 5. We've just got a different job to them. And I think a lot of dentists can lose track with that. I think that they're, some sort of amazing gift to the world. But although it's transforming and it's amazing what we do, we're just at the end of the day. So you just got to keep yourself firmly grounded.
Keep the perspective.
That's it.
Yeah.
Judge me.
Yeah. And so what's it like over in Dubai? Like, do you have a good friend base over there as well that you've like, you just recently moved there, right? So did you have, like, did you used to, I feel like you traveled back and forth before you moved permanently, or you just kind of jumped ship and made the move over?
So I've done some work in Bahrain, which is about an hour's flight away from here. And I have some friends that lived here for 5 years. So I came out for holidays and things, It's a fantastic place to go on holiday. You can have a really chilled lifestyle. You can have that party lifestyle, that city lifestyle that we all love. And, it's quite a lot of young people as well. So it just breeds success. People are so enthusiastic. It's not cliquey the way you'd find in some big cities, westernized big cities. And everybody's just wanting to network, have a good chat. And, if you can spark off a business or have some sort of entrepreneurial conversations, and you find you walk into a lot of those here, which is good.
That's awesome. I love that. Yeah. I miss that a bit. And that, cause I live in a suburb here. So it's a bit like, there's not many people around like outside of, and that's why the podcast has been such a blessing is, I get to have these conversations like over this medium instead of, meeting up with someone and doing it. Cause it's, but I'm looking locally, I really do agree. And I really, believe in the saying, like, like you're the average of like the 5 people like you hang out with most, because it does have a big influence on you. Like the people around you, if they're ambitious and driven, and not just content with what they have or like, depressive or sad, like you said, or negative, it can have a like massive impact on where you end up. So another thing I've been sort of, I talked to a few other guests about is sort of like appearance, like what you wear to work and stuff. So I've been like in dental school, we had to like dress up, so like formal clothes, like dress shirt and slacks and dress shoes. So when I graduated, I was like, I'm just gonna wear scrubs and like runners, and like that'll be the way to go. But I can see from your reaction already, like, so if you want to do high end stuff, obviously, like you gotta look the part a bit, right? So, like, what's your thoughts on that? Like, how much of an impact does that actually have versus like how well you communicate with patients, or how good your work is versus like how you
Let
look.
me put it like this: you wouldn't walk into a Rolls-Royce showroom in tracksuit bottoms and a hoodie,
Yeah.
trying to buy a Rolls-Royce, would you?
Actually, I don't know. I might I love just being like the unexpected. Just walk in with like a suitcase full of cash and be like fully underestimated and no one pays attention. You're like
McGregor stuff right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think taking pride in your appearance is important, especially if you want to perform aesthetic dentistry. I would not go to someone who cannot dress properly and expect them to give me a good smile. I'm sorry, that just would not happen. So I think you've got to dress smart, you've got to smell good, be well groomed. People can judge you if you want for that, but it's a key component to a successful aesthetic practice. If you're going to be biased and stereotype people, which I think a lot of people still do, and it's in our what I'm trying to find, for lack of a better word, it's in our subconscious. You know someone before they've even opened their mouth. So if the first thing they see is your clothes and how well you're presented, then it is important to dress well. And sticking on tracksuit bottoms is just as easy as sticking on trousers as well.
It is.
Right?
The comfort thing is not the same, but
it's society. So no,
that's good stuff. No, I'm gonna change it up. I told myself I'll wait till my New Year's resolution would be to like put more effort into what I wear at work. So starting in the new year, I'm gonna start dress shoes. Do you wear a tie? Do you wear a tie or just like dress shoes?
No. So in the past, I just go open collar. It's really smart. And then the practice started wearing scrub tops. So I wore scrub top with dress trousers and smart shoes. And now we wear bespoke sort of fitted uniform, which is like
it's like the polos, right?
Yeah,
I think I saw those. Yeah,
fitted trousers, and then just cool white shoes, so you can still get your little rebellious side out and your funky.
Yeah.
But
I'm gonna switch it up. I like the scrub top with like dress pants and dress shoes. I think that's the way.
It looks really smart, and it's so easy to put on. You keep your scrub top at work. You turn up in your hoodie if you want, and then throw on the scrub top. Job done.
Yeah, and then you're good to go. That's awesome. And are you into like watches at all, or?
Yeah.
Oh, I love watches. What are you wearing? What watch? Or do you have like a dream watch that you're kind of working towards? Or?
Right now, I'm wearing a bimetal Submariner.
Okay, nice.
The blue face. You can see.
Oh, beautiful. So yeah.
I've had that wee guy for a while. Had a Hublot Big Bang before, but it was too much. Dream watch is probably going for I think a classical Ulysses Nardin. So some 20 years old, look for that. But for now, I just want to just enjoy the country and not spend all my savings on flash watches.
Yeah, you're in a dangerous place for watch enthusiasts. So gotta be careful.
What about yourself? What are you into? Do you have any?
I mean, I haven't gone like super high end yet. The first one I want to buy is Omega Speedmaster.
Beautiful.
Just like for the history of the watch, like I just want that'll be like my first nice one. My only problem is though they're a bit small. Like they're on the smaller side. I have a pretty big wrist. So they're like I think they're like a 40 millimeter diameter on those. They have some that are like 42, but it's not like the original like sort of like Speedmaster. So I was close to buying one like last month when I was in Melbourne like a few weeks ago. But yeah, they're a bit on the small side, so I got to see if I can just live with that or change it up.
Slightly off topic, but if you go on to, there's a really good app where you can price watches. It's called Chrono 24.
Yeah, okay. I know about them, yeah.
Go on to that.
Oh, so you have the app.
Go on to that and you can trade watches on it. It's very, very effective for selling watches and also buying them. They're all there, so it's pretty legit. And what about cars? Are you into cars?
Not so much, no. That's like the one thing I don't care too much about, which is good, I think. I can put my money elsewhere.
Brilliant.
You're into cars?
I learned to drive when I was 7 years old.
Yeah.
In the countryside, like I said, and so I've driven everything. I've driven old cars, go-karts, 4x4s, lorries, so articulated lorries, boats. I've just been very, very fortunate. I don't come from a very wealthy background, but I've been exposed to a lot of really fun things. I joined the Air Cadets when I was really young, so got to fly, got to aerobatics, gliding. So yeah, I love all of that. And I recently, before I moved out here, I was very, very fortunate to have an Aston Martin. So I worked hard for those, and it was just.
So the Botox course must be doing pretty well, huh?
So no, everybody's got their vices, and cars are definitely mine. I've always been around them. So, you know.
Awesome. Was it like a DB9 or what'd you have?
This one I had a V8 Vantage.
Okay. Yeah.
4.2 V.
Yeah, those are nice.
And I think the fastest I got it up to was about 165. That was it, towards its limit. Yeah, and I had one of the dentists I work for, he has a Audi R8. Beautiful car.
So he let me drive that a couple months back, and that was pretty exciting. So
that's a good car.
I'll get into it. I think eventually when the time comes, I'll pick something nice up for myself. But I don't know. I grew up more into like sports and stuff, so I didn't. Surprisingly, like I don't have like the car posters on my wall or anything like that. So it's something maybe I'll get into a little bit later on in life. But watches for sure. I think I'll start with Omega. I like IWC as well, like the Portugueser. I don't know. I just want to be like a bit more of a like I love Rolex and stuff too, but it's like I feel like it's just like everyone has one, and it's like so I want to get something like a bit more like unique and more like something like a watch enthusiast would be like, oh cool, like this guy knows what he's doing kind of thing. So
that for me is the appeal of the Ulysses Nardin.
Exactly. That's great.
Right.
So what about just to finish up with a little bit more dental talk? One thing I've spent a lot of time this year is with like communicating and like case acceptance and that side of things. So you can do as much training as you want and be like do the best crown preps or best veneers in the world. But I feel like if you can't communicate that to the patient, that what value you can provide or build the value in the treatment, they're not going to like necessarily go for it or accept it, especially with the larger price tags. So I'm curious, like, what's your routine or technique like, or if you have any like tidbits for the listeners, anything that you find like keywords or phrases that are pretty valuable and it works pretty well with patients. I think that'd be pretty important to hear.
I think you can sit and be a salesman all day long. I think the most important thing for me, which is, I suppose, my key to success is I like to get to know my patient. I want to hear where they've come from. I want to hear what issues they have and see if I can find a solution to help them. At the end of the day, we're there to help them. You might put it this way. If you have decided that you want to sell some crowns and you think you're going to make $5,000 off the patient, what would we do? You'll be too busy thinking about that whilst they're sat in the chair to actually focus on them and make sure that you delivered a high level of service. At the end of the day, there's hundreds of thousands of dentists out there that the patient could go to anytime at all. They've got to pick you for a reason. So coming across as yourself, being real with them, having a joke with them, and spending time with them. Yeah. More importantly, spending time with them, educating them. And you'll find that you'll be incredibly successful with it. Put yourself in the patient's shoes. You want to trust someone. You want to make sure that what they're doing and that they fully understand you. So the sales technique don't really have. I think just be real with your patient is the most important thing. So when you were first starting out, if you're working in a general office and patients are coming to you, not necessarily like knowing that, you're an aesthetic dentist or offer these sort of services, because that's my situation right now. Like I'm just in a general office. People aren't coming, to see me for like veneers or just coming to like, for cleaning, for any fillings and stuff. So I'm just curious to see like how to even begin that conversation of, oh, like, are you happy with your smile? Or like not trying to sell it even, but just to even like bring it up and create that dialogue with the patient to talk about like the aesthetic side of things apart from just the health side of things. Few options you can go down. One, have a big TV in the background, so when the patient gets sat forward, they've got this like reel of images coming through. Nice wee slideshow. Next option would be to say if they have like a really bad crown margin on the back, you say, look, your margin's showing, I see the metal or the tooth shining through. You might want to think about getting this changed for something a bit more aesthetic as a discussion point, because you're not going to offend the patient. You're only saying what you see. All the way through to talking about other treatments you provided recently. When the patient comes in, they'll say, have you had a busy day? Yeah, it's been really busy. I've been doing some veneers or some crowns. I had a smile makeover in just last week. And, I'm really excited about it because it's going to be a beautiful result. And I'll say, oh, yeah? Tell me about that.
Yeah, that's good.
It's only because you're not leading anybody along, because you're just telling the truth and you're showing how passionate you are about it. So,
yeah,
that's what I do.
No, that's great. That's good tips. Because I find, like, generally speaking, like I'm like pretty comfortable with patients and like communicating and everything. But yeah, I was being a newer grad, like I was a bit hesitant at the start to like even like talk about like more expensive treatment, because I wasn't comfortable with like the dollar figures like myself to be like, oh, you need this and this, and it's gonna cost like $8,000 or $10,000 or what be, because necessarily like I couldn't even afford it like when I was a new grad, right? So I was just like, you don't have that comfort zone talking about it. But yeah, slowly I think it's coming along and getting better, and I'm getting to do more of the stuff that more ideal treatment for the patient, and in turn like what I enjoy doing more often as well. So I think it's good tips. Like I like that crown margin one. I think that's a good starting point to talk about and go from there.
You say about not having the confidence to talk to patients, but how many hundreds of thousands of dollars have you invested into your training? How many years of your life have you given up to become a dentist? How many sacrifices have you made? So why should you cut your prices? Why should you be scared about talking about the price? If the patient's there and they're having the discussion with you, they want to talk.
Yeah.
So I think you've got to have an understanding that there's a lot of value in yourself and you can do a lot of wonderful things for them. So why feel uncomfortable about that?
No, that's true. And that's a great point. I think that's a lot of people need to like overcome that. And I think it's the ones that do that, like yourself and others who are doing like more high-end stuff. They get to where they want to get to because they have that confidence in their own ability and like what value they can provide to like do that. So that's pretty sweet. So in terms of workflow with like lab and stuff, like are you doing a lot of, you said CAD CAM, like are you doing like is it mostly for posteriors that you're using like the CAD CAM stuff for? Or do you even like, as I know in the US and like some other podcasts I'm hearing like some guys are starting to do like veneers and stuff with CAD CAM and Emacs as well. Obviously like for the high end aesthetic market, it's probably not the way to go for interiors just yet. But what's your experience been with the new technologies?
Yeah, I mean, I only have experience with CEREC. So I've been using OmniCam for the past few years. From hundreds and hundreds of posterior units, bridges, both posterior and anterior. And posteriorly, it's perfect. It's great. Anteriorly, I don't think it's where it needs to be just yet. I think it lacks a lot of tertiary anatomy, which we find the technician can put into it. But it's getting there. One of my friends just went on a course recently where they're doing a 24-hour turnaround on smile makeovers.
Oh, wow.
Including sort of non-surgical crown lengthening. And the results are just wonderful. And these guys have been at it for quite some time and have the full setup for it, which is a huge, huge investment. The results that they were showing me just looked excellent. So it's actually something that we're starting to work at in the new practice, is to get this digital workflow up to scratch. I've tried it in the past. And previously, I haven't been satisfied with the results, so I've always opted for lab-made crowns and veneers for these aesthetic cases. But I think it's really now is the time that it's changing. It's definitely getting there. Certainly, from what I'm starting to see from other practitioners in different countries, and it's something that I want to get involved in because I don't like to miss out on these types of things. So
yeah, for sure, you want to be cutting edge, right?
It's the future.
Who are some dentists that you like look up to and follow, or have been like sort of like mentors for you, like directly or indirectly, like in the past few years?
I used to sit on the board of the British Academy of Cosmetic Dentistry, and I came off it just last year because I have a lot of other things going on with work. And the other board members are just wonderful, wonderful dentists. So the top 5% of UK cosmetic dentists right there. And they give me a lot of help and advice, and I looked up to them for that. Moving on outside of that, Gallup Garel, I like his techniques. I think they're really good. Didier, really good techniques. Paolo, really good as well. So yeah, lots to learn from them. And that's really about it, I suppose. Focus on doing my own thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good stuff.
I try to look at other dentists and compare myself to them. I think a lot of problems within dentistry is dentists, as you know, will probably be quite sarky towards other dentists unnecessarily. You see loads of it. I'd never get involved. I'm just happy to be doing what I'm doing, and if my friends, my other colleagues are doing well, then so be it. Let them continue at it.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. I don't know why that is with dentists. Like I find like on these like Facebook pages or like Instagram, like a little bit less so. I find just people are just like ripping into each other for like stuff like I'm just like what benefit do you get out of this? Like it makes no sense to me. Like
because they're not even on the tools doing the treatment. So everybody wants their 5 minutes of fame. So it's better to be famous for good things rather than being a nonce.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that's why I mean I'm not doing like good work at all, but I like just posting it anyways because I think it's good for like other people just to see like not perfect stuff all the time because it's like real life. Exactly. And then this way I'm hoping I can like show my growth and like people can follow the journey and see like as I start to do better work, then hopefully like it like motivates other people to do that as well. So that's awesome, man. I really appreciate you coming on. I know you probably had a busy work day. It looks like you got a nice setup over there in Dubai, and hopefully keep seeing some like great work coming out of you. Do you have any intention to do any like other branching out your courses into like more like aesthetic side of things, like aside from the facial aesthetics?
Possibly in the future. Although just now, it's so time consuming getting set up to work within the UAE. I think it's going to be India and then perhaps Australia. I think there's a big demand in Australia.
For sure.
Good quality training off the grapevine.
Let me know because I might. We're like my wife is like she's doing medicine like I told you earlier, and she's like applied for residency back in Canada, but she's got her internship and stuff sorted out in Melbourne right now. So we might be moving back there. So if you end up coming to Australia, let me know, and we can collaborate somehow, and I can come learn from you and be a bit of a that'd be awesome. I don't know. I'm thinking like just looking at like sheer numbers. And correct me if I'm wrong. I think if you're pretty dedicated and have the drive to be like a high-end dentist, I think it's almost just like on just numbers of like dentists doing that. I think you're more likely to be successful than just like a general dentist working in the city because there's just like thousands of them versus like a smaller few of number of people doing like high-end stuff. Like is that wrong, or like what do you think about that?
Swings and roundabouts, to be honest with you, because you could be in a high-end practice and people not want to come there because they'll think they're too scared to come. They think I'm not here for cosmetic dentistry. I just want to know my mind is secure. No, I think you want to be in a practice that's mixed. You want your daily intake of regular patients for routine work, and you want to get from those patients as a base high-end treatments, and then you also want to market to those aesthetic patients that want to come in for the purely cosmetic work and then return to their GP afterwards. So you want a mixture of, in my opinion. You need your bread and butter as well as your aesthetic cases. So it's a combination.
Yeah, to keep things going. Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you so much. It's been great talking to you. A lot of good insight. Yeah, it's always exciting to talk to people who are just doing good things because it gets me motivated and gets me excited to keep going and keep doing things differently and grow from there. So I really appreciate it. I'll keep looking out for your work.
Yes, any help or advice, give me a shout. And if you're in Dubai,
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And I'll post the link for your course on there as well. And yeah, it'd be great. It's a great idea. If I ever we come to Europe a decent amount because my wife grew up in France. So if I'm there next time, hopefully it works out with your courses and I can drop in for one of those.
Brilliant. Stay in touch.
Yeah, awesome. Take care. Have a good night.